to go. Hello, everyone. I hope y'all are doing fantastic today. Grand afternoon, grand evening, grand rising, wherever you are. Just gonna tweak this, excuse me, tweak this tripod. Okay, so honestly, this is so funny because I pick a tripod that I don't even use really to record anymore. It's like mostly for walking videos or going live now. So it's just kind of funny because it's a little heavy to hold for more than a few minutes at a time. That garden is so cute over there. But yes, I was going to go live sooner, but I'm like, I had to trust the flow of information for a second. And also, it's like very interesting how electrifying, let's just say, life can get. How fun life is, how surprising life is when you surrender and you're just like, I don't want to do it, but it will make our lives all harmonious. Let's just say, and it didn't hurt anyone. Um, and then, I was rewarded by life, by the universe, by spirit, as I like to say. Um, and yeah, I can completely misread people, but energy never lies, which leads me to my next point, which is reading people's energy or the energy. Whoops. Whoops. Sorry about that. Let me fix this tripod. I think before I was loosening it instead of tightening it. So now it should. Okay, there we go. That was so funny. Um, so I apologize. I had loosened the tripod before before going live. Um, I was actually wrangling with it closer to when I started. This is why doing test runs are so important, right? But anyway, I fixed it. I just fixed it anyway. So, so yeah, I might do like a technical run later. It's a live stream. It's not a vlog. Anyway, so I hope you guys cannot hear this. There's like 10 kids behind me. I guess school just got out or something. Um, anyway, that's so crazy. Um, it's literally like 10 kids behind me. They're just like huddled up in someone's yard. But, very strange. Very strange. Yeah, so so many distractions in one little video. Oh my gosh. So anyway, energy. Reading energy never leads you astray, right? So if you're someone who is like looking at life in a direction of, okay, I know that there is something blocking me from my potential and my success, right? But I don't feel motivated to reach my goals. Um, so you look at the energy around either the problem or the environment that you're in, and you do subtle changes to try to raise the energy in that environment, right? Or raise the energy within that problem or relationship, whatever it is, right? But um, the thing is, woo, as you can see, it's a little windy here. Um, the thing is, it's about how deep of a concentration you get into when you read energy. Because if you, let's just say you're disciplined in your motivation, your discipline, and thank you for the likes and chat, everyone. I appreciate it. As I say every live, I don't want to acknowledge the chat or talk to the chat as much, just so I can get the engagement of everyone, whether they're watching it live or not. And actually, I'm glad that I'm talking about this in the beginning with 16 people here live, but thank you so much to the 89, almost 90 viewers on my last live stream. Thank you so much. That's more than the amount of subscribers I have currently. So, hello to everyone in the chat, but thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. And I'm going to try to make more content, like I said. I just went for a walk today, right now. It's pretty early in my day, but I'm going to go to the same park I was at last time. Um, and just look through my note cards that I brought. So, some juicy topics is what I call it, personally. Juicy topics. But it's like energy is the same thing when people say, what's your vibration? They're like, what's your energy? What's your mood? Your aura, right? But a vibration or your energy level is something that you can change yourself. You can ascend to higher energy levels, higher levels of vitality in life, or you can descend. And obviously, taking away instead of adding at that point, right? But you could do these things with an amount of skill, and again with concentration, it lets you, um, let's just say it alerts you. The more you're aware of it, the more it will alert you in a subtle manner, like a sixth sense, right? If you're reading energy, it will come across as an alert, or like, oh, this is out of balance, or this is like a dense energy. But most of the time, people know when something is off about themselves because they will know it in their spirit, right? And science and religion, often talk about these things, of course, but where they meet in the middle, so to speak, is like talking about nature and talking about the power of intention and creation being very significant. Um, but I think more New Age spirituality talks about, like, uh, talks about, I don't think there's anybody at this park. Great. But I think they talk more about energy and frequency a lot. They talk about, um, excuse me. I'm actually gonna set it up right here so I can talk on this bench. Oh, I don't have a Twitter or an X, so that's funny. You like to show support. People wear a yellow hat, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Oh, you know what? Let me fix the bottom of this before my tripod would flip over. So let me just frame this real quick. Excuse me. It is a busy day outside. High 80s here. Um, Honestly, it's a busy area, as you heard from the teenagers getting out of school and the cars honking. But energy, right? As I was just speaking on, and I will get out my cards, my index cards right now. Energy is so important because when society, let's just say, but when the people in general are at a high vibration, then they know that they are in a flow and creator and healthy state. Versus if you are in a low vibration, you think of problems a lot, or you have a negative outlook on life, and you don't take risks. You play it safe, you stay in your comfort zone. Um, it's like a perpetual cycle that you find yourself in. Siren, look at as I say that for confirmation. So it's definitely about more of what you want to do for yourself, because at the end of the day, a hospital, a doctor, a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, they're not going to look at your whole life history. They're going to say, okay, what are you here for? Or what do you want to get out of the session, right? But they look at the symptoms. They don't look at the whole picture, the bigger picture. Um, and a lot of people get swept under the rug that have very simple energetic problems or frequency problems. When they could just learn how to cleanse their energy, they wouldn't have to keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to these so-called professionals that cannot even fully heal a sickness or fully get rid of a disease in a person. So energy work and energy clearing is the future. Frequency, sound healing, um, different things with magnetics or magnetic um, attracting type of things. I'm not, fully specifically certain. I haven't meditated in a while, but I've been trying to focus on the insights, let's just say, and the intuitive nudges, the downloads, as people like to say. But no matter what you resonate as for your label, it's still the same. Like all of us on this planet, on this earth, should know how to cleanse and ground our energy more than anything else. Because if we're out of whack, like I said in previous lives, but to reiterate, I'm a personal trainer certified and a life coach certified. So what I do with people is I try to teach them when I'm coaching them or giving advice, right? Um, I am doing a perspective of the body and the mind. And after that, their spirit is up to them. But I'm incorporating some of that too with telling people and teaching them how to like stay in the present moment, how to be more affirming towards yourself. But all of it is in a mindset of raising your energy, raising your vibration, right? So I thank you to everyone who's tuned in. It's been 14 minutes, almost. Whoa, it's a mosquito trying to bite my leg. It's funny. But I'm just going to read from my index cards as well because that ties into frequency and meditation, right? So within that, right, industries and companies aren't going to heal you fully. It's within yourself. And it's something that has to do with um, your level of attention to detail, with your level of attention to. Sorry, I'm just. Hold on 1 second. Notifications, I'm sorry. Um, people even being able to go within, right? People still want to get into a mindset of separation. They still want to get into a mindset of division and authority over others. and it's just really weak, and it's not in service of harmony. And I think that people need to be respectful of other people's journeys first and foremost, but they also need to realize and recognize when others do need help instead of correction or judgment, right? Because in order for all of us to raise our vibration and our energy, it has to. Sorry, I just knocked my tooth. I don't know if I caught it on camera. But to raise our vibration collectively, we have to come to a point of respect and having that vision of a harmony for all. You know what I'm saying? Because when one person goes, I'm going to step away from the doctor's office, I'm going to step away from the psychiatrist's rooms, I'm going to step away from the pharmaceutical industry, and they decide, what is it that my body wants to tell me? And they get more into meditation, and then their mind starts communicating with them differently now that they're in a calmer state, then their vibration can be raised by them connecting with different parts of themselves to have that awareness, right? So with that being said, there are people on this earth that want to keep that system of division and control in place. And I'm not one of those people who is for that. Clearly, if you've been a follower of this channel or just, watched all of my content, but I'm someone who, regardless of if I'm posting or speaking about it, I have to take a lot of time to be in solitude for me to actually recharge from what I am around constantly. But I know that me going outside or me going for walks or me exercising or taking better care of my nutrition or watching less of this or not being on social media or whatever it is I'm choosing to do to better myself. But the goal is at the end of the day to have that opening for clarity to come through, to have that opening for that connection to be sparked and moved, to have that aha moment. It has to be quiet, it has to be subtle, it has to be in that space by yourself. You're not going to be in a loud environment and just, start understanding your life more. You're going to be in a position of irritability after a while, right? Because the adrenaline fades down, the high goes away, the whatever you take makes you sober up after it, right? We could all agree that there are things on this planet, on this earth, that don't serve us, but we, again, stay in our past, we stay in our comfort zone, we stay in a position of, I want to understand my life, so I'm going to do things that are simple and repetitive. Instead of, I want to understand my life, but I know from what I've tried, this doesn't work out long term. Let me just learn and pivot to doing something else that's long term instead of short term. There are subtle ways that you can change and look at your life, but at the end of the day, it's still up to you to become aware and raise your own frequency, right? Because there are people who profit off of you not knowing yourself, right? I talked about it in a passionate way during one of the first few lives I had, but how much money do they put into the movie industry and premieres and plays and screen films, right? And award shows and celebrity culture, right? And fashion runways. How much money do they put in that, you think? More than $1 billion? Might be close to $1 trillion? Who knows, right? But how much money do they put into healthcare? They want movies and TV shows and projections to be accessible to everyone. Yet, yet, they don't want you to understand your mind. They don't want you to have access to solutions. They don't want you to have a connection or a closeness with a part of you that heals yourself, right? But if you are already here and you are already seeing this and you are already feeling like, I'm in the loop, I'm following, I'm tracking, right? And please subscribe. Please feel the urge to stay connected. I would like to engage with more than 100 people, more than 1,000 people, right? I plan on doing lives more often. So, um, I just gotta get a schedule figured out. But I'm in a big transition period of my life as well, and I'm being reminded of this lesson of energy, of moving my frequency, of clearing my aura as I am digging deeper in it with the clients and the people that I'm pitching to for services. And um, it's also really refreshing when you know yourself well enough that your strengths and weaknesses are not an issue. Your strengths and weaknesses aren't conflicting. Your strengths and weaknesses aren't holding you back in your life anymore. You have that balance after the awareness. And after that balance, you have the dedication. Once all of that happens, boom, 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 here goes discipline. And then you live that day out, that week out, that month out, that year out, and you notice, hey, look at that, you're a different person. Imagine that, right? Imagine you dedicating yourself to change and actually getting something out of it. No tricks, no scams, no schemes, no gimmicks, no hidden agendas. You see, because even though there are people who don't fully understand or have that awareness of energy and frequency being able to tap into, let's say, there are people that are almost like warriors for this cause, for the army of peace, for that defensive spirit, for that heart, body, mind connected person. And it's something to the effect of, you know, I find myself wanting to give up sometimes, but I keep pushing and showing up for myself, and I'm always rewarded by the universe. And let that be your affirmation, right? I am loved by many, and I love those around me. Very simple affirmation. Nothing too hard, right? And then there are these messengers, and I don't know if you guys heard the car in the background. That's funny. And a siren went off right after that. Wow. Sorry, I'm a little sweaty. I'm rubbing my face. But there are messengers. Goodness, literally, like, I'm sorry. Let me recalibrate myself. So there are messengers in place for those who know how to reach into their potential and tap into their energy to heal it, to raise it, to uplift their energy, right? And those people influence society in the most positive way. Those people are accepted by many that they come across, if not all that they come across. Because there are karmic lessons for those to live. Nobody's on earth and just lives a life unscathed in perfection. Nobody, right? So we all do have our faults and our flaws, but knowing this, it means that error is fine. Error is actually, predictable. Error is something that harnesses the energy to transfer it to a higher frequency, right? Someone who lives a sedentary life, who doesn't move around outside at all, who ignores the people around them and the relationships that they can grow with, who ignores all of the different perspectives that they could have to live their life differently, and they don't. You know, that's a them problem. so much is interacting with me. It's kind of funny. Um, but like you also have to understand that not everything is meant for you, right? Because the other truth that some people might not understand is that your frequency matches those around you a lot of the time. Unless you're called to just heal everyone you come across and lift everyone's vibration like a tuning fork, you know. That is a lesson very few are called into and accepted. That's um, definitely a thing that you initiate into if that's the level of commitment your soul chose, right? Everything is up to us. So when you learn how to raise your frequency and raise your vibration on a small step level, then you also have an appreciation for the present moment and for time differently when you are getting into these moments that would maybe in the past cause you confusion, right? When you get into these circumstances that are challenging and you want to give up, um, and it's completely understandable. It is completely understandable. But what I want everyone to know, which is my agenda at the end of everything, if all the cards fall, if everything else fails, if we have to be completely 100% honest no matter who we speak to, my agenda is that people know that they can heal themselves within. If we are in the high and in the making of the Most High, which is a creator, the creator of all things, right? If that is what our image and our planet and our likeness is from the Most High, then why is it that we are all consumers and low vibrational? Why is it that the hospitals and schools, the places that are the most high frequency and high elevation, educational, teaching, right, connecting, expanding, those places are the most high vibrational and they're being targeted all across the globe. All across the globe. It's being targeted, right? People in hospitals, like I said before, they're going in with a sickness or a symptom or an ailment or something, and it's just reoccurring, and they can't figure out the solution. They give them temporary fixes, they give them a prescription, they give them um, a set of solutions, right? But someone could still go through everything in life correctly and go through the medical system and still be given the short end of the stick because they don't want people to identify and have that awareness to heal themselves. If they wanted to do that, right, they would have simply poured more funding into education. And that's the second part of this notes that I took is that when you destroy morality, it creates a, a mindset of disarming people, of like learned helplessness, right? So when you live your life in a way that doesn't acknowledge these things or doesn't acknowledge these energies, it can be very confusing. It can feel like life is attacking you or targeting you or testing you, some may say, right? I'm sweating so much, oh my goodness. I'm sure my face looks oily. I put on my sunscreen today, so the sun is beaming, y'all. Beaming. So I wanted, sorry, whoops. Ugh, whoopsie daisy. I wanted that to be the focus of today's message. Is that frequency and energy is something that is attractive at times of very high vibration. Because when you're high vibrational, you don't lose anything, not a single thing. You attract everything that you need. But when you are low vibrational or low frequency or low energy, right? You feel like you're constantly drained or you're sore, or you're tired, or you can't sleep, right? Those things are, um, some of them are just created out of habit. And then you felt bound to whatever um, your flesh or your physical um, memory, right? I'm trying to think of the word they're saying. Muscle memory, yeah, muscle memory. Your physical memory, your muscle memory, excuse me, um, does, and then that's how you live your life. But what I want people to know is that you shouldn't flirt with morality because that is something that, um, and I'm reading my notes here, so you can see, but flirting with morality really just can confuse you a lot in the long run, right? Some people may do this in a sense of trying to be hopeful for others or trying to be um, accommodating or adjustive to everyone, but most of the times we harness the environment and the energy that we are around, right? Like I was saying, the people you're around a lot of the time will match your energy um, because of those layers of separation, right? Degrees of separation, but just the butterfly effect and chaos theory, as those two terms are interlinked a lot of times, but it's just too many things go hand in hand and like lay into each other. So it's always going to seem like a sense of disconnect or subtle, like subtle reflections. In all honesty, and I'm actually gonna move really quickly, because this is too close to the street. But yeah, I'm actually like beaming sweat. You just saw that dragonfly, but the sun is like directly out. It's literally. I'm sure you guys caught up on that, right? But it's literally out, like no type of like shade or anything out here, unless you go under a tree, right? Um, but yeah, it's just a matter of what you want to do in your life. So what I was talking about before about morality and frequency, right? But what do you want to accomplish, and how fast do you want to um, have that goal accomplished? Let's just say, if it's a time-bound goal, right? Excuse me. Like a financial goal or a health goal or something like that. But if it's something that's like um, purely like, oh, that can, wait till a later time, or oh, that can um, just take a different approach, like a simple perspective kind of thing. Like, oh, it's a big looking vulture. Almost looked like a hawk for a second, sorry. I was distracted. But it's like you have to realize that your goals are within reach, but it's about how you set up your discipline and your habits and your routines to reflect what you want to get out of your life. And it's funny because as I was taking the break from the last live that I did, right? I went and it was like thinking about the live streams, looking at the views and stuff, right? But it was like funny because I had people follow me from open mics and doing poetry, right? Sharing my poetry. And little silly type of jingles, let's just say. But it was still poetry at the heart of it, right? And people were following me, I think I got up to like 50 subscribers. And as well as TikTok, like people were following me from my TikTok and they would watch my live streams where I would do like multi-guest hosting or like um, tarot readings. And it's kind of funny because at one point I did want to just read tarot cards and do astrology. And then the next part, I was inspired by something that happened in my life, of course. But I'm going to sit on this bench really quick and set up here. But it was like the amount of, oh my gosh, this cute little dragonfly. Look at that. He's just on this little tree branch. Um, and that big bird is still out there. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so let me just sit down here really quick. So I've talked for 35 minutes about a lot of stuff. So let me just. Oh, this is sideways. Alright, so I'm gonna just face away from the sun a little bit, to finish this, like, perspectives, right? Um, Excuse me though, because my mouth is dry. 1 second, actually. There's some people at the park now, though. There's like 5 people, I think. 5, 6 people. But I'm just gonna continue this message really quickly. Um, because also it hasn't been an hour yet. So I remember one live I was just out here like talking and talking and talking, and I was like barely taking a break because, and that was so funny because it's like that was the most I kind of felt um, connected to spirit in a long time. But some of the things that happened to me after moving back in with my parents really led me into the inner wisdom and inner knowledge that I had maybe overlooked, but also learning forgiveness and releasing that baggage or releasing that shame or that perspective of like fear also gives you a different like headspace to view life. I know that's really simple sounding, but it's like if you go around and you have to constantly keep track of this drama and the stories and these other people's he said, she said, or perspectives, then it's gonna be something that always weighs you down. Even if it's in like a little perspective, it's something that's gonna be like, okay, I'm someone who wants to have a level of clarity in my life, but I feel like I'm in the center of other people's discrepancies or problems. And this dragonfly is still on that tree. That's really cool. Um, and an orange butterfly just flew past, so it's really cute. Mother Earth is definitely blooming in this summer. Oh my gosh, it flew around and came back. That dragonfly is definitely chilling, big chilling. Beautiful green and amber brown dragonfly. Oh, my sweat makes my face look shiny. It's hilarious. But anyway, sorry. Back on track, right? So, the more you ground yourself and the more you're aware of your frequency, right? The more you can help other people around you that you interact with on a day-to-day basis or with a family relation, right? And your friends, right? They, intermingle, they interact, and that degree of separation moves around into society, and suddenly there are people who are advocating for growth, people that are advocating for a safer environment, people that are advocating for a healthier dynamic in, um, whatever city planning there is. But it's just like the moment that you realize how impactful, like, the whole power of one is, and small, like, fluid, dynamic, um, compound, complex, whatever adjective you want to use. But it's like if you are in the spirit of using different methods, let's just say. This dragonfly is still here, it's so cute. But if you're in the spirit of using different methods, per se, of becoming a more enlightened person or becoming someone who's more balanced in their day-to-day lives, or someone who's like, you know what, I do want help reaching my goals and I need a little push or a little perspective, then life coaching, personal training, um, holistic health, nature events. I don't know how to word that really, but It's like, being out in nature, road trips, hiking, going to see a waterfall, swimming in the lake, being outside under the sun in a playground. Things like that are really important as well for us to release and cleanse. But to just remember we're human beings. Again, we're not just consumers, we are made to be creators. We were made to influence others. We were made to impact other people's lives in a positive way, of course. Obviously, in a positive way. We were meant to release the fear and the control mindset. We were meant to be united and harmonious with the earth, not divided and conflicted about how we govern ourselves or how we behave with others or how we interact. And I'm not a perfect person by any stretch, but I choose to believe that people can express their emotions and be seen and be heard and be understood, and still you don't have to have a deep connection with them. You just have to wish them love and a high vibration, and hey, just be on your way, right? But either way, you have to be a grounded person who's disciplined and knows how to cleanse themselves and their aura. Because when you have that clear intuition, when you have that mindset that's sharp and that is responsible and, deals with everything in their life in a wholesome, healthy way, then you're someone who gets more responsibilities, who gets more information, who gets more connections. And the more of a grounded person you are when you're in positions of power, or when you are in positions of high influence, let's just say, because again, we talked about previously in this live, people who are highly magnetic, right? So you may not even be a celebrity, but you have that celebrity energy, as people say, right? But you are to know that what you speak over your life literally comes into fruition. Literally comes into fruition. What you practice every day is what makes up your life and your routines. You can go from someone being really productive, positive, and engaging with different parts of their mind and body all the time, right? You may just be very intelligent or very skilled in certain things, but are you doing something that is grounding you, something that is making you feel motivated to get up, to wake, to rise, to get ready, to take care of yourself, to be there for others? Are you doing something that is fulfilling, harmonious activity? Are you a safe person to yourself? This is what your frequency asks of you. Are you aware of your boundaries that you have with other people, or do you switch? Are you aware of how your emotions affect an environment or an outcome in a conversation? Are you aware that your interactions, as quick or as slow as they may be, have a place in others' minds, right? It's not just about you. What is your frequency at right now? Because if instead of, let's just say, instead of, how are you? How was your weekend? How was your day? How's it going? Hey, how are you? Right? What if we were just honest? What if we were honest in a spiritual way and said, you know what? I'm in a pretty middle frequency. I'm in a middle to high frequency, you know? And people would know, okay, there's someone who has their goals being accomplished, they take action, they know joy, and they collect it, right? There's someone responsible with their feelings and others' feelings. There's someone who has their life together and they're connected in their lives. Very sharp person. Someone who is saying, when someone asks, what is your frequency, right? That's someone who is very high vibrational. A girl was on her bike, like with her phone out. I'm sorry, that threw me off for a second. That's someone who is high vibrational is someone who is not affected by the world, is not affected by their environment, is not affected by anyone's conversations or words or opinions. Ooh, I'm sweating. Opinions of how they live their life. There's someone who knows how to deal with the cycles of life, death, rebirth, growth, right? Someone who understands how to adapt, someone who trusts very highly, and someone who, when they're asked, what is your frequency? Oh man, I don't even know. And they just talk quiet, and they're in a unapproachable manner, let's just say. Their body language is unapproachable and quick movements most of the time. Flighty behavior, camouflage behavior, um, not collaborative, seclusive behavior, one might say. But that type of person is very conflicted with themselves, first and foremost, and they don't trust others. A lot of the times they felt abandonment. They do have real trauma, but they're choosing to be in an energy, and a conflicting energy at that, um, to have these cycles play on repeat. So like, I want a different life, but I don't want to do things differently because that would complicate how I choose to live, and I don't like confrontation. So they put it inward, and that creates a sense of density. That creates a sense of you're stuck in the past, right? But it's a scale, it's a frequency adjustment, it's an attunement, because it is a range. It's all a range. Habit, practice. Again, a perspective of future, of actually above time, right? Above time. But mostly, it is something that you have to know for yourself. And having that awareness and taking small steps is what I teach others and what I give advice on. And there is actually an uprising of people in my collective. First of all, I'm so proud of you. Keep going, right? I made previous videos directly calling out certain groups, but I know that I speak for the oracles and those who are intuitive, highly intuitive at that. So yeah, I'm really proud of you guys, but thank you so much for the support and for being on your own journeys, because you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm speaking about. You pick up an understanding of these things because life, again, everything is a frequency in life. If you look up universal law, you will, like, so many things will make sense, because along with frequency, there is order. There are things that happen to specifically bring about order, right? Natural order, global order, galactic order, whatever you want to say, but ooh, my tooth again. But whatever level of order you want to say, there is a cause and effect that happens. There is a this happened, that's the outcome. So it's something that you have to maneuver in your life, and um, again, just start small, small steps. Be affirming towards yourself as well. Don't be someone who is like, okay, I'm gonna do it this day. I'm gonna not do it this day. I'm gonna continue my journey. Oh, I'm gonna fall off the wagon. Oh, I wanna be serious. Oh, I wanna do this and regress. I wanna be out of the cycle. I wanna blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's certain levels to it, but at the end of the day, nobody can live your life for you. Life and living life is the actual experience you get out of it, right? Every single person is going to be different. Every single person is going to have a different definition of success. a different definition of happiness, a different definition of self-care, of pleasure, of harmony, of whatever, 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 right? We can go through a list, but the whole bit, the whole end of the line there is that it's a personal choice. It is a personal choice how you choose to live your life. It is a personal choice. Do I believe certain things are just meant to happen? Uh, yes. Think for a little bit on it, but for the most part, yes. Do I think that there are certain choices we can make to change the projection and direction of our lives? Yes, I also do believe that. So again, I'm not someone who's preaching about science and religion and philosophy and blah blah blah. I'm simply trying to tell you how important you are in your own life, in your own experience, right? So many people, and this is another thing I want to touch on, oh my goodness, because I didn't write this down either, and I'm looking at a flock of birds just go by. It's amazing. But it's a projection or conflict in their life that happens, right? And their environment becomes low vibrational. And instead of finding solutions or finding ways to get into a different community, even if you can't change environments, but forming a different community, right? Um, or moving if you have the choice. Obviously, that's your first choice. But I'm saying, like, if you don't go through these options and you don't try, then your environment may completely succumb you. You may just, in fact, receive a lot of the energy. And if you're someone who's really perceptive or receptive, let's just say, of people's energy, of people's moods, of people's intentions, of whatever, 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 your gifts, your talents, your God ordained skills are, right? Whatever is unique to you, let's just say, whatever is unique to you, right? That is something that you can tap into, but you have to be willing to do it for yourself, not for others, not for a specific outcome, but you have to trust and really get into that mindset of, I want to change. I don't want this environment to completely surround me, or I don't want to be a product of my environment, is what people say. That's like a popular phrase I heard in high school so much of the time, man. Um, but there are people who know how to ground now because they've been through the turmoil and they've been through those dark nights and they've sat with themselves and they said, you know what? I don't want to live this way, but I know that there was a purpose for my pain, right? There was an intention behind the action. There was something within me that got triggered because it was in my aura, in my energy field. So once you become the person who learns from these people who maybe had similar experiences, but they learn from their experiences either way, and you learn from them and you get a different insight, but it helps someone that you're around, then it just starts going like wildfire. And you have people who want to live life again. You have people who want to be in a perspective of love and harmony. You have people who want to be a joy um, and a high vibrational person. That's just that, right? And look at what's being targeted again today, 2025. But now, whatever country you're in, are your hospitals and schools being targeted? Are you having safe spaces of community? And where is the high vibrational places to gather? And if there's nothing, then you know what you have to do and make them, connect and make them. That's all you have to do, right? But I love you all so much. Please get out in nature. Please cleanse your energy. Ground. Best way to ground is barefoot on dirt, barefoot on grass, either sitting and breathing with the earth, barefoot, bare palms, or walking barefoot on the grass. Sun gazing, what I'm doing right now, sitting under direct sunlight, was facing the sun back there. Um, and listening to nature, being outside. Maybe close your eyes and just sit on a bench. But be in nature, be in the present moment, and listen to your surroundings. Because you'll surprise yourself too, as well. You may shock yourself with how good you can hear when you start practicing these things. Just like we're talking about living differently, clearing your energy, um, having a different perspective on life, living differently, looking at yourself in a higher esteem, a better way, a healthier outlook. It's something about you specifically though. And you have to choose, do I want to stay the same? Or do I want to satisfy that calling within my soul and choose to influence the people around me from the pain I went through in a positive way? And you start to become more aware and you shift your energy, you move the density, you swipe away anything that is dark or low vibrational, and you genuinely rise, you ascend, you become a different person who is no longer affected by the earth, but has an effect on earth, right? Again, only in a positive manner. So, I want you all to think. Just think about vibration. Think about the earth and vibration. Think about what is actually going on today, and I will talk about this further, of course, in my next live. But think about what's going on today. Who are the high vibrational people? What groups were blessed with insight and knowledge and accomplished a lot while they were living? Who lived the most out of life? Who were creative as much as they were disciplined? Who are high vibrational when their environment is low vibrational? Who are high vibrational when everything in life has affected them in a low vibrational way? Who is high vibrational that is targeted? Specifically, think about who is high vibrational. And think about what you've learned. Think about what you've learned, how you look at life, how you view life. What or who, and places, again, places, or where. Where is high vibrational, right? But what and who is high vibrational? And maybe pull inspiration, but for surely, if you're seeing this, if you've watched the entire thing, again, thank you. It's almost 1 hour on this recording, on this live. I mean, um, but think about who and who specifically is high vibrational around you and that you've been influenced by. And pull from that. And that's the last thing I'm going to share on this humid, oh, bug infested, hot day outside. It's summer. It's almost the end of August though. It's crazy. Wow. Um, but just know that if you use half of what I told you and you listen, good for you. If you use 80% of what I spoke about and you use it, amazing. If you took notes, you listened to the recording, and then you applied it in your life, amazing. Good job. Great for you. I want people to know that their influence matters. And again, that power of one is extremely important because we are meant to be in harmony. When one person is off, you feel it. When one person is high, is good, is influential in a positive way, you feel it. It's infectious. Energy never lies, though. As above, so below. A universal law. As within, so without. Law of polarity. Right? These are universal laws. Law of vibration. Law of assumption. Law of gender. But either way, there is a outcome, an effect, a conclusion, a way to look at the bigger picture afterwards. And again, if you listen to me, I will change your life. If you apply yourself, you can change your entire life. But remember, I love you. Whenever you're seeing this, however you're seeing this, I appreciate you. And it is an hour and 1 minute, so I kept it shorter today, but I will see you next time.